Hello, Biblionauts. Welcome to another Poetry Thursday. This is a very special Poetry Thursday because I'm going to be reading you the poem of a philosopher that we are going to be addressing on the read-along of the Dialectic of Enlightenment next week. And that is Nietzsche. This is my favorite poem from Nietzsche because it contains so much of his thought. If you have read Nietzsche, I feel like you will enjoy this poem especially, but even if you haven't, this is a good poem. It's very, as everything Nietzsche wrote, it's very raw, very powerful, and yeah, I will get to it. I found my old book cover. I used to have, I had this when I was reading like the very first novels I ever read. I took this from my aunt, and I never gave it back. So now my poetry canon book, in which I transcribe the best poems that I've ever read, my own canon of poetry, is looking much nicer than before. So yeah, let's just look into it and yes, here we are. Oh, that was quick. All right. The poem is called "Only Fool, Only Poet." In the fading light of dusk, before I get started, I'm gonna struggle because I always struggle to read my own handwriting. So at some point I might just like make up a word when I don't understand one, or I have to stop. As always, assuming English is not my first language, and reading poetry in English is the hardest thing for me. So, warnings aside, let's get started. Only Fool, Only Poet by Friedrich Nietzsche. In the fading light of dusk, when the dew solace begins to dwell to the earth, invisible as well as unheard, delicate footwear as a gentle consoler's, then do you remember, hot heart, how once you thirsted, after heavenly tears and dewdrops, searched and very thirsty, while on yellow paths of grass, the spiteful evening glances of the sun ran around you through the black trees, glowing sun glances, dazzling, malicious delight. The suitor of truth, you? Thus they mocked me. No, only poet. A cunning, plundering, stealthy beast that must lie, that knowingly, willingly must lie, lusting after prey, colorfully must, self-shrouded, pray for itself, this, the suitor of truth? Only fool, only poet, merely speaking colorfully from fool's masks, shouting colorfully, climbing about an deceptive world bridge, on misleading rainbows between false heavens, rambling, lurking, only fool, only poet. This, the suitor of truth, not still, stiff, smooth, cold, become an image, a pillar of God, not set up before temples, a God's gatekeeper. No, hostile to all such a truth and statues, more at home in any desert than in temples. Fraught with cat's mischief, leaping through every window swiftly into every chance, sniffing for every jungle that you in jungles among motley shagged beasts of prey would run sinfully, sound and beautiful and colorful with lasting animal lips. Blissfully sneering, blissfully hellish, blissfully bloodthirsty, plundering, prowling, lying would run. Or the eagle that for a long time gazes with a fixed stare into abysses. Oh, how they spiral downward, down, under, into ever deeper depths. Then suddenly, plummeting straight down, wings pulled out to pounce on lambs, hating all lamb souls, grimly hating whatever looks virtuous, sheepish, curly wooled, dull, with lamb's milk goodwill. Thus, eagle-like, panther-like, are the poet's longings. Are your longings under 1,000 masks, you fool, you poet, you that have looked upon man as God and as sheep, tearing to pieces the God in man, as well as the sheep in man, and laughing while tearing. This is your bliss. a panther's, an eagle's bless, a poet's, a fool's bless. In the fading light of dusk, when just as the moon's sickle, in between green and crimson reds, enviously creeps, the day's enemy, with every stealthy step, at rose hammocks sighting, till they sink down pale in nightfall. Thus myself once sunk out of my truth madness, out of my day longings, weary of day, sick from the light. Sunk downward, eveningward, downward, shadowward, by one truth, burnt and thirsty. Do you still remember, hot heart, how you thirsted then? That I shall be exiled from all truth, only fool, only poet. And that is Nietzsche's best poem, in my opinion. It contains all of his philosophy way before he developed any. If you can call what he wrote philosophy, I think he remained only fool and only poet to the end. You don't have to agree with his thesis in order to enjoy the viscerality of his arguments. I think Nietzsche should have been a poet rather than a philosopher. But his philosophy still contains a lot of poetry in it. So that was one of my favorite poems. And very relevant poem to next week's continuation of the read along, in which we will touch on Nietzsche, among others, before getting into the culture industry. Let me know if you liked it. You can search it. There is multiple translations available online, so I'm not going to link any specific one because this is a modification of a translation I found, so I would not be giving you a link to what you just heard. So there you go. That's it. That's been my Poetry Thursday for today. I hope to see you soon making your own Poetry Thursday, and I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, Booktube.